Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for tuning in for another edition of Truthbuster News. I am CJ, your host, the originator of Truthbuster News, and it is November 14th, 2017. And we have seen a truckload of events develop and unfold over the last few weeks. Just to mention a couple here, we have the ongoing event over in Saudi Arabia, the anti-corruption crackdown of Saudi royalty going on over there. And I am going to compile a report on that. I have been doing research and I have some pretty interesting things to mention that probably has not been discussed, and if so, not in a great deal. And we also have the ongoing North Korean crisis that is developing still at a rapid pace. At any moment's notice, there could be a preemptive strike by Kim Jong-un's regime, or the massive amount of warfare and ground troops of the U.S. military already there, just recently deployed, but also has been there for a short period of time. Last I knew is 80,000 troops. There could be more on the way. They were doing a 3-carrier strike group in the Western Pacific drill over the weekend. And that consisted of massive sized aircraft carriers. I'm also going to do a report on that. And that's an ongoing event. Plus all these staged false flag shootings that are starting to occur on a more regular basis. I'm going to bring some evidence to light regarding to the false flag tragedy that occurred in Texas not 2 weeks ago. So all of these events I have been researching in my free time and saving what I have found so I can get the report out to you. But what I want to discuss with you tonight is, if you go through the archive playlist on videos that I have uploaded on my channel, a week or so before the Antifa operation unfolded on November 4th, I had put out a video following and backdropping that very same weekend an EMP grid down scenario drill, and it was based solely upon the communication ability between the military and higher ups and government officials to coordinate and communicate with ham and shortwave radio operators. Now, people have put the comment out regarding that event that nothing happened. But that's not necessarily true. Because that following Monday, now before I jump into this, I'm not saying that it is connected or related, but it's strikingly odd. The following Monday of that weekend, there was, and we even noticed in my place of employment, because we do a lot of things online, and our computer hub is a virtual hub. But that weekend, internet providers and cable service providers had mass outages across the nation. So I think it is a very strange coincidence, if you will, that this so happened to be on the following Monday of the weekend that was conducted. I also want to throw out there that people were let down that Antifa didn't commit a full-fledged attack. And I was appalled by the reaction of people that posted in live streams where Antifa was throughout the nation in a dwindling number of force with a soft event. And also did a video covering that topic. And I mentioned that they're not over. They are not done. Because don't think for 1 second, with all the $18 billion that George Soros dumped into his Open Society Foundation, that was for nothing. No, it wasn't. See, that event was recon for Antifa. They sent their idiots out there. They sent their dumbasses to autonomously chant and be automatons to get the people's reaction, while the actual planners and coordinators were behind the scenes observing, taking notes on how we reacted to the event. So I guess you could say in a nutshell that was a warning. If you look at it from a out of the box type perspective. So I will say again that they are not done. And they're going to strike when we least expect it. So when I did that video, I said stay prepared, stay on guard, stay on the ready. Because you never know. So what I want to discuss with you tonight, when I put that video out about that EMP drill that was going to be conducted that weekend, I also mentioned in the video. Now, this is a little late warning, because it's going to be going down tomorrow. But I had mentioned that there is going to be if you're not familiar with it, you might want to look it up, but it is conducted biannually or consecutively. There's a span of time, 2 to 3 years, between when they reconduct this drill that could go live, can go hot. It's called the Grid-X drill. The last time it was conducted was back in 2015, and it had been leaked out where the location was, who was involved, and the operating parameters of the drill. Now, of course, by the mainstream media, it was conspiracy and hearsay and fake news. But tomorrow, through the 16th, they're conducting Grid-X 4. And I found this information on the NERC website, nerc.org. And it's titled Grid-X. Grid-X is a biannual exercise designed to simulate a cyber physical attack on the electric and other critical infrastructures across North America, and will involve electric utilities, regional, local, state, and provincial, and federal government agencies in law enforcement, first response, and intelligence community functions. Critical infrastructure cross-sector partners, ISACs, and other utilities, supply chain stakeholder organizations. November 5th to the 16th, GridX4 dates. Due to the sensitive nature of the scenario discussion, this exercise program is not open to the public or the media. A public report will be available after the exercise concludes. If you want to contact for more information, you get a hold of Jake Schmitter, Senior Manager and Exercises and Training Coordinator, Electricity Information Sharing Analysis Center. GridX Program History. The NERC conducted its third sector-wide grid exercises, GridX 3, in November 2015. The first GridX exercise took place in November 2011. These geographically distributed exercises were designed to execute the electricity sector's crisis response to simulated, coordinated cybersecurity and physical security threats and incidents, to strengthen utilities, the crisis response functions, and to provide input for the lesson learned. The objectives include or exercise, crisis, response, and recovery, improve the communications, identify the lessons learned, and engage the senior leadership. The exercise construct, Gen X3, was made up of a grid-focused operational exercise for participants across North America, a tabletop discussion for executives. The majority of the participants took part in the exercise from their place of work over 2 days and received sequenced email messages that detailed simulated scenario conditions. Based on this information, participants responded by simulated internal and external crisis response and information sharing based activities. An exercise control cell based in the DC area managed the scenario distribution, monitored the exercise, and gathered the lessons learned. The previous GridX 3 was the largest cyber and physical security exercise of its kind. It involved more than 4,400 participants from 364 industry and government organizations in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The tabletop discussion involved senior leaders from the electricity subsector, coordinating council, and U.S. government executives. Lessons learned from the exercises below are in a public report, and the link is provided. So we're going to go over those. Because you have to download them. And for some reason, I am not allowed to open the file. Interesting. So they're serious when they say that it is a media blackout and communications blackout to the public. When I heard this mentioned a couple years ago, and the info got leaked on the participants thereof in the GridX 3, it involved Spec Ops, SOCOM, Northcom, and the higher-ups of the military being there. They conducted military communication operations. This entire drill was conducted under the cover of darkness. The physical aspect, it wasn't carried out in broad daylight. So that tells you it's pretty nefarious if they want to keep the public safe from a grid down of power grid down being dismantled and unusable by i.e. attack of a physical type or a cyber attack that would dismantle it and make it useless. And it caused alarm in some states that caught wind of this among the general public. That is why it has been made a media blackout, because they don't want the public to know. If they're so concerned with your safety and everyone's safety, you think they would want you to know, but no, that's not how they operate. Now, the basis for them doing such an event and the timeline that it follows, you could call it coincidence, or you could call it me nuts, conspiracy. It doesn't bother me what label the naysayer might want to divulge into, because I'm giving you what they're conducting right here. This is not something I'm making up, pulling out of a magical rabbit hat, magician's hat, when pulling the white rabbit out right here. Say, hey, here we go. No, I'm giving you what they're doing. But it could be a coincidence that the timeline concerning the events that are developing right now concerning North Korea and Saudi Arabia, 2 years ago, almost 3, February 2018 will make it 3 years. But back in February 2015, it got some coverage in the alternative media, but not a drop within the corporate NWO deep state shadow government propaganda media. But in February 2015, the very same month, North Korea launched the satellite, the Morning Star. Now that satellite orbits over the U.S. 2 times a day at a minimum. And over the course of time, it has come to find out that this satellite is equipped with an EMP device on it that will disperse a mass amount of electronic magnetic fields to take down the power grid. But I also want to mention that North Korea is not the only one that has the technology. The US has it. China and Russia also have the same capability. Now, whether they have furthered the venture to expand that technology and make it into a working device, that's remained to be known. But I know the U.S. has, because a few months ago, this was finally, people in the military, pretty high-ranking service members within the military, held news interviews and said, yes, an EMP is possible. And that followed in concordance of just a short time prior to that time, the funding for the EMP program was made public. So there we have, the U.S. government has the technology and has been advancing and researching it. As far as the other two nations, Russia and China, if they're being tight-lipped about it. And they will not speak thereof. Another reason they are basing this upon is a CME, a coronal mass ejection from the sun. And as I had mentioned before, the last time a CME had played a vital impact upon this planet was during the 1800s. During the times of the Wild West and the slow start of ingenuity. People were just planning out how to get electricity, the telephone. That was still in the talking stages and planning stages. So in that era of time, it probably just seemed to the public, the people of the planet, that it was a natural occurrence, in which it was. And they didn't really have anything to suffer from it, because they didn't have the advancement technology back then that we do now, that we rely upon so much. So, you have these factors that are involved that they're going to base this operation upon. But here's the facts. When the grid does go down, they are going to blame it. The U.S. government is going to blame it on an outside source or a foreign nation, so that it will greenlight them to go ahead and attack that nation or outside force. But in fact and in reality, you can almost guarantee that it will be conducted and executed at the hands of our own government. Why they do this? To put the people in a state of fear and paranoia. People are more easily controlled when they're in that state of mind, state of nature, and a lot more easily manipulated. Remember that phrase: crisis, reaction, solution. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Deep state shadow government operatives have mentioned that. Rahm Emanuel has said on a constant basis, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Needlessly to say, he's also a Democrat. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not jumping into that topic at the moment, but I thought I just, for some reason, want to drop that out to you. So it's the same MO, it's the same modus operandi that has been executed time and time again by the same people, the same shadow government, the same deep state, the same New World Order. And I wonder, will we ever see a day where they no longer exist? I hear that they're going down. That the sealed indictments against Podesta and Hillary will have them behind bars. But they're going to put moves to make sure that doesn't happen. They're going to put up blockades, everything they can think of. But I also know this: whenever one evil goes, one's right behind it to take his place. So keep that in mind. Let that sink in a little bit. The old guard, the old oligarch is gone. One's right there to take his place and attend to the operation. In closing, with everything I just given you, I want to say this. Prepare, have your plan, have your bug out bag ready, have everything, all your preps in order, have your family ready to go at a moment's notice. Because you do never know when shit will hit the fan. I want to thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to check out the work that I put out. It means a lot to me. That means that I'm reaching people. And I can't reach people without your help. How can you help? You can share my videos across your social networks. You can subscribe. Make sure you hit the button so that way when you get notification of my next video, you can view it, post your comment, like or dislike this on you, but at least post a comment and at least share. That's all I ask. God bless. Be safe. Survive another day in this matrix-based reality.